From the center of the universe, Toronto, Ontario, Canada, this is the SDM Show with your host, Rob Cairns. The SDM Show focuses on business, life, productivity, digital marketing, WordPress, and more. Sit back, relax, grab your favorite drink, and enjoy the show. Here is Rob.
Rob Cairns here. I'm the founder, CEO, and chief creator of Amazing Ideas at Stunning Digital Marketing. In this podcast, I sit down with Ryan Waterbury, and in our monthly segment, we talk about WooCommerce, eCommerce, and all things online stores in the WordPress ecosystem. Sit back, relax, and enjoy the show. This podcast is brought to you by Stunning Digital Marketing, the digital marketing agency for all your business needs. We are also your WordPress security experts, having over 14 years of experience locking down, backing up, and protecting WordPress websites. Go to stunningdigitalmarketing.com for more info or stunningdigitalmarketing.info for links to everywhere we can be found on the web. Hey, everybody. Rob Cairns here with the SDM Show podcast. And today is my monthly co-host with Ryan Waterbury. How are you, Ryan?
Doing pretty good. Enjoying this nice, relaxing vacation week.
Oh, you're referring to my nice relaxing vacation week, I think.
Oh no, I'm talking about my own. It's been nice to have a long 4-day weekend rolling up to today.
Yeah, I hear you. At the time of this record, we're headed to a cottage on a lake that you can only get to by boat. And so I am about to fly the coop. So, I'm with you on that one. We should just tell our clients to stay home for a couple of days. Be a good idea, right?
Exactly.
So, we were hashing out, as always, what we do. And as always, tech glitches have gotten away. And we thought we'd talk about WooCommerce and the WordPress ecosystem. And, it's a really interesting subject because, as you know, I'm working on a large e-commerce project with variable products all over the place right now. So this one's kind of dear to my heart and dear to your heart. And I think the landscape's starting to change a little bit, that WooCommerce isn't the only game in town, is it?
Exactly. It hasn't always been the only game in town, but it's it's the de facto plugin from Automatic that we all use. The base plugin's free. There's a lot of extensions around it, and it just works. There's a lot of good things about it. I use it on my own site to manage my web care and recurring billing, and it's got a lot of great integrations. But it's pretty heavy, and it takes some optimization to get it to run properly.
And
so,
I think optimization, by the way, not to cut you short, includes the proper hosting. So you're not going to run a good WooCommerce site on a $295 a month hosting plan. Let's get that out of the way right off the top, right? And if you're going to run WooCommerce, I think you're better off going to a host that offers managed Woo hosting and then offers a pile of value add with that.
Right. Yep. And that's definitely one of the tiers in my web care that we specifically optimize server and the software stack for WooCommerce specifically. But WooCommerce a lot of times isn't always a good fit. For those customers that have one or two products, if they're not selling a million of those, there are other solutions out there that might make a better fit. And, we're starting to see some growth and some competition in the market. And it's been kind of slow in that area for a long time, but now we have options. Of course, we've had a long time option if you're doing digital only products with easy digital downloads.
Correct.
But then again, that's kind of a heftier plugin and kind of complex for a lot of folks out there.
Yeah. And before we go further with what's in WordPress, we know the number one competitor outside of Woo is Shopify. Would you agree? Like they are probably number one. And my argument would be against using Shopify is data privacy. Here we go again. I just love this discussion because you don't own your data on privacy on Shopify. So that's problem number one. Problem number two is, did you know there's a lawsuit going on in Canada that CRA, the Canadian Revenue uh, Association, which is the guys like who manage our taxes and all that. And CRA is going at Shopify right now to force them to turn over the records of all the Shopify Canadian people because they don't believe they're paying taxes. And without a court order, which is even better. And
Wow.
here's the problem with that one. So the beauty of if you were using a Woo solution, at least, then all your data is self-contained and you can protect the integrity of your own data, correct?
Absolutely. First and foremost, even if Woo's not a perfect fit, as far as store, if someone wants to own their own data, that's a benefit right out of the box.
Yeah.
You're self-hosting the store, you control everything, but then again, you start to get into your own compliance issues that you have to manage everything. Where Shopify is a nice solution where it's easy to spin up a store, but your store looks like everyone else's for one, and two, they still haven't fixed their long URL structure for SEO. So WooCommerce still, when we talk about stores, dominates the market as far as market share. And that just follows with the percentage of WordPress being around. Was it 43 or 45% of the web now?
Yeah, it's about that. Yeah. And the other problem with Shopify is, to be quite frank, and to throw it out there, is the $29.99 plan that they advertise gets you nowhere, especially with analytics, with payment processing. They even have a policy that if you don't use their payment processor, they charge you more. Like, come on, guys. Like, let's get off that. That is so 10 years ago. And I don't care that they're Canadian. They're kind of not my solution of choice, right? So
Right. I, and I work with a lot of customers in restricted business markets when we talk about e-commerce,
yeah,
and particularly some cannabis customers. And Shopify is starting to ease up on that. But for a long time, if you hosted your store on someone else's land and either a law changed or they decided that your product isn't in the best interest of the company, your store's gone overnight. And
yeah,
that's kind of a scary thought when you use SaaS solutions, and not just Shopify, but BigCommerce is one of their key competitors here and based in the U.S. Any of those hosted platforms, you're at their mercy. And
it's true. It's true. And in
yeah,
restricted businesses, it's a problem. I have a client who's in the adult toy store business and otherwise known as an adult store, and he's doing nothing illegal. He's doing nothing he shouldn't be doing, and trying to find, if he was to do his stuff on Shopify, they would shut him down overnight because it just
mhm,
doesn't adhere to their quote social standards. And I'm sorry, I don't think a web host has the right to pick and choose. If it's legal, it's legal. If it's not, it's not. That's a whole new discussion for another day. But that's part of the problem he's got, and he runs his store on Woo for that exact reason. So
right. We kind of started out talking about other options,
Mhm.
and what I've shied away from some of the other options out there, and this is changing, but very slowly. But a lot of the other options are hosted carts. So
Yes,
even though you manage your data and you own it, the actual cart and checkout is hosted somewhere else. They do the heavy lifting of all the processing. So you're still kind of in that same boat. We talk about SureCart, where that's a new one from Brainstorm Force. It's a nice product. But really, what rubs me the wrong way there is the fact that it's a hosted solution that you're just framing it into your WordPress website that you don't actually own it.
Yeah. And
Same.
wouldn't it be better than to protect your data and your integrity to go with a full Woo solution, which is built right into WordPress, and then you don't have that problem? Like I hate to say it, but I'm not sure any of these other solutions you totally own all your own data. Correct me if I'm wrong.
No, not at all. And that's something that you need to signify in your privacy policy, that you are sharing data with another third party because you're choosing to use them as your processing solution. And we're not talking payment processor, but on top of your payment processor, just as another cart solution.
Yeah.
So there are some new solutions coming out, albeit slowly. North Commerce was announced a couple of years ago,
Yeah.
and I've been following it because there have been a couple of LTD offers, and it really wasn't ready for market when the LTD offer was open. So I passed on it, but what I'm seeing is it's another self-hosted solution
Mhm.
that you own, and some of the things that WooCommerce doesn't have out of the box, like subscription management, that's an add-on. Some of the shipping options, those are add-ons if you want to do, shipping tables. So you're starting to see these other solutions come to market that fill in the gaps that we complain about with WooCommerce. WooCommerce is nice, don't get me wrong, but as soon as you get past the base, and it's a free plugin, so I'm not complaining. But if you want to do anything, you're going out to buy another plugin to be able to do that.
I,
Subscriptions, if you want to do special shipping options, even payment processing, most of those are free. But if you get out there, a couple of them are paid. So that WooCommerce has its drawbacks, and one of the drawbacks I'm talking about is its flexibility.
I agree with you. It's funny. Didn't, if memory serves me correctly, didn't iThemes, before they were sold to Stellar, jump in that space and try and create um, a shopping cart type of ecosystem? And then when they sold to Stellar, that shopping cart stuff was sold off, if I recall right, to somebody like Gigashop at one time, and then it's kind of gone by the wayside because it's just hard to maintain.
Um, Geo Shop actually is what WooCommerce became. I mean, WooCommerce is a fork
Yeah, I wasn't
of
thinking of
that.
that. I was thinking of
Yeah,
the iTunes product that they sold it off to somebody, and
I you know um, Geo Shop kind of died in 2019, 2020. I think the iThemes product died around that time.
yeah,
And so it's been kind of barren for other e-commerce solutions. So you have the route if you're really simple and want to take donations, or you have one or two products with flat rate or free shipping. Form plugins fill a really great role for that, and all the form plugins do e-commerce, from that standpoint pretty well. Gravity Forms has some extensions that do inventory management and some extra things. So uh, you can do a few things, but you're kind of limited because you don't have the full shipping options with live lookups and full inventory management. Refunds are kind of a pain.
yeah,
So they're nice if you're doing some small things. One of the other products that recently I looked at from a donor management tool is Paymatic from WP Manage Ninja, parent company that does Fluent CRM and Fluent Forms.
yeah.
They've built in, on top of it, some ability to build in products and be able to use that as a checkout solution. and it's completely self-hosted. So
Mhm.
we're starting to see other products come to market that give us some of the tools that we want when WooCommerce is just overkill.
Yeah. And then there's some other cool little products like Cadence, for example. Blocks have developed a product called ShopKit that interfaces directly with WooCommerce and makes a lot of stuff easier. And I know in talking to a couple of devs, there's even products out there that will take all your entered products or entered sales and automatically make a copy of those to a Google Sheet or stuff like that to make things easier. So there's all kinds of
Mhm.
add-ons going on. And then we have to talk about, like, on the Woo side, the whole hosting side, because a couple of hosting companies, GoDaddy's gotten into the game with managed Woo hosting, and they have two tiers, a regular and like more of a VIP type. We know that WordPress is now jumping in themselves into managed Woo hosting. They've admitted that in the last couple of weeks, and we actually talked about that this past week on This Week in WordPress with Nathan Wrigley. That was one of the subjects on the docket when I was on the panel. Um, Newfold has jumped onto it with Bluehost. They bought all the Yith plugins, so they're in that space
Mhm.
as well. And I think what's kind of distinguishing it, if you're going to go the managed route, the one thing you got to look at is server resources. What are your resources? How big your shop's going to be? I happen to know that GoDaddy's managed Woo hosting and their higher end one is both based on Pagely infrastructure, which helps because Pagely is a company known for great things for hosting Woo sites that GoDaddy acquired. So that kind of helps. The point I'm making is don't go out and buy $5 hosting to host that Woo shop. You want to make $20,000 a month. It's just not worth it.
Oh, not at all. When you look at WooCommerce, that's one of the drawbacks, and it takes a lot more hosting power than a standard WordPress site. Out of the box, you're looking at double the requirements for memory, processor, and so when you start looking at that, um, Woo starts to add up. I know we talked about that $29 Shopify space. That it's not going to get you very far because you have to start adding add-ons.
Yeah.
That's one of my other complaints with WooCommerce is it's nice, it's flexible, and it does a really nice job. But one, you have to find a host that's optimized for it that can handle it. A 1 or 2 second delay on your cart checkout or page load. We know from marketing testing that the slower your site is, the less sales you make. People have very little patience for poor site loads, and they'll go somewhere else and find that product for the same price or cheaper on a site that loads faster. So first you have the hosting, and then I talked about it, a little bit ago. You need to find the right plugin set to serve what you really want to do. Everybody's business is a little bit unique, and yeah, you have different shipping requirements, different product requirements on how you build things. Variable products are nice,
Why?
but they I'm not talking about your variable products, but I'm talking about variable products that you can order with uh, changing dimensions and uh, some really unique things. Again, yeah, this speaks to the complexity and the flexibility of WooCommerce, but you need to sit down and tailor the site and the stack really to work on a good host, get the stack down, and then optimize the site.
Yeah.
Um,
I,
so it's so there's some additional work into it where that's why Shopify, even though I agree with you, it's an inferior product, it's a one-click setup to start.
yep. No question. I think this is where going to a host that's got managed Woo hosting for some people would work really well. Like I'm working on a project right now where I went that route. And one of the reasons why I did, to be fair, is they had all the plugin stack included in the managed hosting of what I needed. The other thing I would caution people who do Woo stores is, guys, build your shipping costs into the product. Customers hate paying shipping charges. So build it in somewhere, find a way. Because I know when companies say to me, that will be $10.99 to ship it, I look at it and say, do I really want this? Like, just build it, right?
I, right. You know, Amazon, yeah, and you're paying for the shipping with your Prime membership, to be honest, has really ruined a lot of people.
Yeah.
Or, before that, I mean, just the e-commerce landscape offering free shipping, period. People expect it. And, that gets tough. And I've done e-commerce for a long time where we had free shipping and had the exception with the large, heavy products that, we have an upcharge. They still slip through, and occasionally you'll take a bath on a product.
Yeah. So
So,
I'll tell you the funnier one is a lot of people, especially in Woo stores, have gone to abandoned cart plugins where if you don't check your order out within a half hour, an hour, it will send you a coupon for a discount. I have a flower
mhm.
store e-commerce site that I use all the time. And the biggest joke is I figured this out, so I just don't check my stuff out. I let it sit.
Right.
And what's worse is I'm on a corporate discount with them, so I'm already getting 20% off. And then they throw me a coupon for another 20% off. And it's like, and it's funny, people say, why didn't you just check it out right away? And I said, why? It doesn't matter if I want it an hour and a half an hour. It's not going to deliver till tomorrow anyway. So who cares? So
Right.
be really careful when you build offers like that in, because people will find a way like me to game the system, right? So
Hmm. Yeah. I mean, there are some sites that I order some stuff from pretty consistently where you're absolutely right. I wait for that first or second, abandoned cart email, and it's, a minimum of 10% every time.
yeah,
If you're patient and you understand how these things work, you'll save yourself some money.
yeah, no question. Um, we need to talk about security because I have to go there because that's what I do, right? So
Hmm.
one
Yep.
of the problems is when you're building out a Woo site and and I went through this with a client who was making $20,000 a day. So first of all, his number one mistake was he bought cheap hosting. Problem. Number two problem was he figured his cheap hosting was going to do all the security with the firewall layer. Mistake number two. And frankly, at the end of the day, I think security with the Woo site is more important. So by that I mean, are you doing your regular updates? Are you looking for vulnerabilities? Are you running a software firewall? And by the way, are you doing backups? And depending on the volume of business you're doing, maybe you should be doing those backups multiple times a day on OI site. What do you think about that?
Backups are probably the biggest thing that changes. And if I'm running a high volume site, it's getting a backup every hour. Some of the smaller sites that don't see a lot of daily transactions, normally most sites get a daily backup. WooCommerce sites out of the box on my plans get every 12 hours. Busy sites, they get backed up hourly. And these are just incremental backups, so they don't take a lot of space because we're just taking the changes. But it's very important to be able to have that snapshot in that last hour so that what those transactions were. If anything happens, and if you've done your job correctly, it shouldn't. But there's natural disasters, power can get cut, you can lose your connection. It happens, and that backup is the number one thing that gets increased. But the other side of that is, when we talk about extra security, you used to have to spend a lot more time on the payment processor side
Yep.
because you were hosting that, and the checkout forms now, and we've gotten spoiled with Stripe. They're very good about hosting their field inside your form. So it's transparent to the client, but that particular checkout field, the credit card field, and the name authorization, that's stored on their servers. So they take on the liability to maintain compliance.
The
That's
other
one of the pluses and growths that I've seen in WordPress from, simple forms like Gravity Forms down to WooCommerce, that payment processors are starting to host their own fields inside your forms.
yeah,
Not all of them, but Stripe, I know for a fact, does that still, um, and that's a good thing for security. For a security measure, WordPress gets knocked around a lot, via hearsay for bad security. We know it's just out of date sites, but that's a good thing to remind clients that, hey, credit card data is being stored with Stripe, and they have extra security.
yeah. The other thing I would suggest while we're talking security is if you're running a mid to a high-end Woo site, don't use a free SSL certificate. Go and pay for one because I think you're better served. You're kind of rolling your eyes at me as I say that. Do you not agree with
I,
me?
functionally, there's no difference, but it really comes down to consumer confidence.
Yeah.
When you buy that certificate, that shows some of the customers on that site that you've spent the time to get verified and use a verified certificate. But functionally, there's no difference than a Let's Encrypt SSL cert.
Yeah.
We're seeing that less and less as an important factor. But some of the national sites, sure, spend the time to do a manually installed cert. It helps with consumer confidence.
No, I agree. Is there anything else you wanted to touch on backups? Not backups. E-commerce in WordPress or Woo or anything around that?
No, I think we've covered most of the things where, you know, uh, WooCommerce is great, and it works when it works. But I'm really excited that there are some other options that are starting to grow and come into the market. For too long, WooCommerce was the only solution,
Me,
and the couple that I've mentioned are growing, and I expect to see some more e-commerce solutions after 2020 and the COVID era. I don't, even though some people have gone back and they prefer the in-person shopping, there's a segment that people want to do online, and that's all they're going to do. So that you know that growth of that market segment is helping to drive some competition, and competition improves things. So Automatic isn't the quickest developer. I think it's going to push WooCommerce to be a better product.
no, I agree with you, and I'm in that mode where I shop online as a consumer simply because time is money, and if I can get delivered, that means I don't have to go get it, and it frees up a couple hours. So, Ryan, as always, thanks for joining me. If somebody wants to reach out to you or those two quiet office managers who I have heard nothing from today, how's the best way?
Any major social media network at One Dog Solutions. You can visit my website at onedog.solutions, or drop me an email at ryan.waterbury@onedog.solutions.
Hey, Ryan, thanks as always. You have an amazing day.
You too.
This podcast is brought to you by Stunning Digital Marketing, the digital marketing agency for all your business needs. We are also your WordPress security experts, having over 14 years of experience locking down, backing up, and protecting WordPress websites. Go to stunningdigitalmarketing.com for more info or stunningdigitalmarketing.info for links to everywhere we can be found on the web. A very special thank you to Ryan Waterbury for joining me on this edition of the SDM Show. This podcast is dedicated to my late father, Bruce Cairns. Dad, I miss you very much. I love you, and I think about you every day. For more information about Stunning Digital Marketing, your digital marketing experts, go to stunningdigitalmarketing.com or go to stunningdigitalmarketing.info to find out all the great places that Rob Cairns can be found on the web.